Yeah, we're so glad you're here. Oh, we're so glad to be together in unity. I heard about this groom. At the wedding rehearsal, he said to the minister, I'll make a deal with you. If during the vows you'll leave out all that love, honor, and obey stuff, I'll give you $100. Oh, there we go. I'll give you $100 if the mic works this morning. He slipped a $100 bill in the minister's hand and walked away with a smile. The next day, during the ceremony, the minister said to him, do you promise to bow down before your wife, to take her breakfast in bed every morning, to fulfill her every desire? He gulped in astonishment and said in a weak voice, I do. And then he whispered in the minister's ear, I thought we had a deal. The minister handed him back his money and said, your wife made me a much better offer. You know, I had that happen one time. Not exactly like that. Oh, thanks.
No, not anything like that. What are you talking about?
Well, well, never mind.
Yeah.
I'll not get into specifics. Well, one day Jesus and Satan were having a contest to see who was better with computers, as you do. And after 6 hours of making spreadsheets and designing web pages, a thunderstorm knocked the power out. And when they rebooted their computers, Satan started screaming, it's all lost. All my material is gone. While Jesus quietly walked over, printed his out, turned it in. Satan says, that's not fair. He must have cheated. How come he didn't lose his material? And God smiled and said, Jesus saves. What you tell the person next to you, say, I can't believe he said that. Can you read that?
Can I read that?
Yeah, you want to try it? What do you think?
James 1:2-4 says, consider it nothing but joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you fall into various trials. Be assured that testing your faith through experience produces endurance, leading to spiritual maturity and inner peace. And let endurance have its perfect result and do a thorough work. Ooh, that's good.
Yeah.
And let endurance have its perfect result and do a thorough work, so that you may be perfect and completely developed in your faith, lacking in nothing. That sounds very much like when I say, I have an experience and I know there's something that I'm supposed to get out of it. So I want to make sure that I get all of the juice out of it that I can. It's like let that experience stay with me until I have just sucked it dry, until I've gotten everything out of it that I need to get. That sounds very much like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, this morning we're going to talk about mental toughness. Mental toughness. I know you need a little bit of that these days, right? Everything can be taken away from us except what we have put in our mind. These were among the last words that Dr. Eva Eger remembers her mother saying to her as they rode into a cattle cart to the Nazi death camp. The 93-year-old American psychologist is a best-selling author and is drawn from her experience in one of the worst episodes of genocide in human history. And she came up with this philosophy: to think about what you think about. These folks had been isolated, starved, beaten, tortured, experimented on, emotionally abused, and more. How did she and other survivors make it through? It was their mental toughness. More specifically, the power of the mind. The power of the mind. Your mind is your greatest asset. And the way in which you use your mind will make all the difference. Right? Some of the folks, as they would sit, they couldn't speak many times. They were told just to be quiet. And so they would have to go within. They had to go within. And they used their imagination quite a bit. And in their minds, they could take a vacation. They could go anywhere they wanted to go. They would even see and imagine their family members and their friends. And they would even talk to them and have conversations with them in their minds. Isn't that amazing? They would quote and recite poetry that they had read in their lifetime. They would quote from books that they had read and plays that they had seen. Do you know the mind can be a prison full of fear, self-torture, or it can be a haven of peace? Right? It's very important to learn how to, as Morpheus said in The Matrix, free your mind. Right? We need to free our minds. They prayed, they meditated, and that got them through some of the most horrific experiences that a human being could possibly go through. And they didn't know that they could do this, right? How many know that you don't realize how tough you really are until you have to be tough, right? It's amazing. And you know that SEAL Team 6, they had a technique that they would use before they went in to capture, what was that guy's name?
Yeah, Bin Laden.
Bin Laden, yeah. And it was called box breathing. Have you heard of it? Box breathing. That's where they would breathe in on the count of 4, hold it for a count of 4, breathe out for a count of 4, and then hold it for a count of 4. Right? Because you and I have within us everything we need to deal with our anxieties and our fears. Right? We have the power inside of us to deal with those things.
We're so used to being entertained, though, from the outside.
Yeah.
We rarely spend time, or many rarely spend time, on the inside. We actually, many wind up living life exactly backwards from the inside to the outside, and we do it rather from the outside to the inside. Right. We let, all of the outer stuff take our attention, and we just want to be entertained. We just sit back and go, okay, make me laugh, make me smile, entertain me, rather than going inside. So.
Yeah, and so, in the Western mind, in the Western culture, we go from outside to inside.
Right.
The Eastern culture goes from within to outside, without. And so it's important to understand that you want to be one of those kinds of people where you are going from within to without, because that is where your creative power exists, is on the inside, right? And if you learn some tools and some prayers and some affirmations and how to use your mind, then you can get through anything. And not only can you get through anything, but you can also make a difference in the world, no matter what's going on around you. Are you with me? It's so true. And so in Auschwitz, they got comfortable living in their mind. How many know that that's where you live anyway? You live in your mind. Your mind is your house. What kind of decorations do you have going on inside there? Do you have a nice place to sit and relax? Do you have beautiful pictures that go through your mind? Right?
It's all pink and glitter.
Pink and glitter, yeah, that sounds about right. It's like if you're going to live somewhere, you should decorate it. I remember when I went to college, I didn't know anything about decorating anything. I just walked in and set my stuff down. And,
he still doesn't.
And
sorry.
I know some stuff. And somebody came into my room and they said, how come we don't have any posters up or, pictures or whatever? And I said, so I never thought about it, And I never did decorate. You were expecting me to say, so from that point on, I started decorating and putting stuff up. No, I didn't. I got married instead to somebody who has taste. But they got comfortable living in their minds and using their minds in a powerful, powerful way. There was a story of a gentleman I read about who'd lived a very hard life, and he was so full of hate and vengeance and revenge. And he was put in jail after a while because drugs and the whole thing, criminal activity. And so he couldn't be around other people. He was so violent. And so they put him in the hole. That's what they called it, the hole. And basically that's all there was just a hole in the middle of the so-called room. And there was just this little space where light came through the bars, from the outside. And he was miserable. He was miserable. He had this anger, this fear, this rage on the inside. There's a lot of that in people. I know that everybody here has a little bit of rage. Did you know that? Yeah. I know we got to get it out. We got to let it go. Because if you don't, it will eat you alive. Right? And so, he would just lay in the floor and got focused because nobody would talk to him. He wouldn't talk to anybody. And they shoved the food, under the door. And he was alone. So he would just lay there. And he got focused on the light coming in through the window. And he got intrigued by the light. He said, wow. He'd never really noticed light. Have you ever sat and contemplated a sunbeam? Right? Have you ever done that? I remember as a young child, I would go outside when I was 6 years old. We lived next door to a family that had a bunch of kids, And so I'd go outside like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'd say, hey, is anybody up yet? You know, and of course they weren't. And so I had this tree that I would climb. And I remember one particular Saturday morning, I was out there, and I climbed up into the tree, waiting for my friends to wake up so we could play. I think I was probably about 8 rather than 6, probably about 8 years old. And I climbed up into the tree, and I sat on the branch and just kind of leaned back, you know. And the light just kind of came down, streaming down through the dew on the leaves. And I just got caught up in it, mesmerized by it. You know, this little 8-year-old. And that light, you know, just kind of, wow, I just kind of went into a reverie. Have you ever done that? Mm-hmm. Just got so caught up in just this natural world that we live in. And I remember I just kind of, I don't know if I went to sleep, I don't know what happened, but I just sat there for a while and just was just in this joy, this bliss. And then I heard my mom's voice. She said, "Little Jimmy," that's what I was called back then. "It's time to eat breakfast," you know.
Got you moving, didn't it?
It did. I'm pretty obedient when it comes time to eat. But that's what this gentleman was going through, you know. And he would lay there, and there would be these ants. And one day he was thinking about it, he was hungry. And he said there came a whole line of ants with little pieces of bread, crumbs. And they stopped right in front of him. He thought, wow, are they wanting to feed me? Is that what's going on? And he became obsessed with ants. And so little by little he began to meditate, just naturally. Just started meditating, just getting quiet, getting still, becoming, you know, acquainted with his interior life. And little by little, the rage started coming up, the anger, the way he was abused as a child, the people that betrayed him and let him down, all that stuff started coming up. And he would just lay there and sit there for days on end, just letting it all come up, just letting it all come up. And over a period of time, he began to change. He began to study and do research. And he said, there's got to be an understanding out there about this. And he began to study spirituality. And then as he learned, he started sharing with people. And then he became a great inspiration to the people in the prison, an inspirational speaker. And when he finally did leave the prison, he became an international speaker who would travel the world and tell people about his experience and how that the light changed him and how the ants supported him. And he would go into these stories about the ants, you know, you believe it or not, but that was his experience. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? We live in our minds, folks. We live on the inside. We live on the inside. In the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus' disciples questioned him, and they asked, "Hey, do you want us to fast? How are we supposed to pray? Should we give alms? What diet should we be observing?" And this is what Jesus told them. "Do not tell lies, and do not do what you hate. For all things are plain or equal in the sight of heaven, or from the spiritual perspective. What is hidden will manifest, and everything covered up will be uncovered. Isn't that beautiful? And so, all of this is inside of us. See, we look at people on the outside and we think, oh, they're the problem. If they could just change. You ever thought that? You know, it's like the whack-a-mole thing. You know, you get one of your relatives acting right, you know, and then somebody else pops up. Oh, you know, and so you try to straighten them out. And you try to straighten them all out so you can feel good about yourself. Right? If I could just change you, then I could be happy, Leah.
I know.
See, it's all her fault.
I know. I know.
And that's what we do. We project onto everybody and everything our own fears and our own misunderstandings. Here's what matters the most. Your brain is wired to dislike change. Anybody here just love change?
You know,
Yeah, we got a
that's why I
few.
like it,
Okay,
yeah.
all right. That's good. That's good. That's growth.
That's something you grow into, yeah.
Yes. So all this talk about growth and pushing our boundaries. Sure, we say we want it, but deep down, you know what? We fight it. Why? Because your brain is comfortable where it is. Isn't that the truth? People get comfortable in their misery. They get comfortable in the same old, right? We get comfortable. It's predictable, even in misery. You can sit there hating your job, feeling lost, knowing things should be different, but doing nothing about it. Not because you're lazy. Say it with me. I'm not lazy.
I'm not lazy.
It's because your brain doesn't want to risk having to step into the unknown. Say it with me. Ooh. Right?
One of our basic needs to be safe.
Yes.
Makes us, it
That's right.
keeps us feeling safe.
Yeah.
Even though it may not in reality be safe, it's, like you said, predictable and we can count on it, so it's safe.
Well, what's not being taught is that real change doesn't happen until you start to train your brain. Let's say it together. Train your brain.
Train your brain.
Train your brain.
Train your brain.
And make it okay to be uncomfortable. Right? It's okay to be uncomfortable sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I read about this guy who's putting on these seminars and retreats for men. And what they would do is they'd have the men come and they'd have like a big pile of bricks. He said, all right, what we're going to do today, he said, we're going to move these bricks over to the other side of the yard. Said, okay, we can do that. We can do that. So they started moving the bricks. And then some of them started asking, why are we moving the bricks? What are we doing here? And it was just the idea that sometimes you need to force yourself to do things outside of your comfort zone. Why am I moving the bricks? I'm just doing it because I choose to do it. I'm choosing to move the bricks from here to there. You say, well, James, what lesson do you get out of that? Well, it helps you to see that you have the power and the control to be able to make choices and decisions for yourself. You just are able to do it. And you train yourself to do things that are uncomfortable. more people are afraid of public speaking than they are of dying. And nuclear war. Isn't that interesting? So, it's okay to be, let's say it together. It's okay to be uncomfortable.
It's okay to be uncomfortable.
You have to let yourself feel awkward, nervous, even scared sometimes. Because that's when the growth starts. Right? Mm-hmm. Everything else is just theory. Getting comfortable with uncertainty. What's going to happen next? Will I be okay? I mean, know you've been okay up to this point. Guess what? You're going to be okay. Let's say, I'm okay. You're okay. And that's okay. All right? Change isn't logical. Did you know that? It's emotional. Say it with me. Aha. It's emotional. You ever try to convince somebody who has believed a particular philosophy, idea, or thought for most of their life since they were a little child? Have you ever tried to change their mind? And it may be something that's like, how in the world could they even think, how could they even believe that? But it's because it's emotional. It's inside of them. It has become part of them. You know? I mean, no, we like to do the things that we enjoy doing. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? But if you want to manage your mind, your brain, you want to do things that you don't enjoy doing. What do you think? Your brain is wired for pleasure, isn't it? In other words, you resist the things that are not enjoyable. That's why we procrastinate, or would rather eat ice cream than broccoli. Isn't it true? If you had a choice, what would you eat? You'd eat broccoli? Okay.
These are not my people.
We'll pray for you. You know what? Here's how you deal with that. I'm going to give you a real simple solution. You probably already know this, because you already know all this stuff.
Blend up the broccoli in your Vitamix and freeze it and make ice cream out of it.
That's not what I was going to say.
I know.
You know, I remember when I started eating broccoli, somebody had put cheese on it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And I had cheesy broccoli. And that was pretty good. And so I started eating cheesy broccoli. And I was okay with that. And then I remember one time I was going to have broccoli and it didn't have cheese on it. And I thought, oh, okay, I'll just eat it. Because I'm used to eating the broccoli now. And you know what I discovered? I kind of liked it. Right? Broccoli's okay. You know, it's like doing laundry or doing the dishes, you know, or whatever. It's like, it's something that you don't want to do. That's what we're talking about. Something you really don't want to do because it's no fun, right? What am I going to get out of it? Well, clean clothes, you know. But we do a lot of things out of resistance. You know what resistance is? It's an energy killer. It steals your energy. It steals your joy. It steals your life force. Are you with me? And so I got to thinking about this. How could you do the laundry and make it enjoyable? How can I make it enjoyable? Well, you turn the music on, get a little music going, right? And then here you are, you're getting ready to do the laundry. You put the clothes in, you let them circulate around, right? Listening to the music, feeling good. You know what I mean? And just kind of tapping on, this is me, tapping on the washer a little bit, and when I'm by myself, I can sing any kind of music. I'm a rapper, I can sing like Elvis, or whatever, So then you take it out and you put it in the dryer and you let it dry. Ooh, look at it's drying. It's drying. Those clothes are drying. They're going to be so nice when I hang them in my closet. They're going to look so good. She's just looking at me like, you've never done anything. This is all in my mind, sweetheart.
Because I was going to say, who is this dream man? I know you can sing any style of music you want, but do you know how to turn the washing machine on?
There's a button. And you turn it.
Actually, there's a dial.
Yeah, well.
And you pull it.
Okay. I get it confused sometimes.
Carrying right along.
So anyway, you take them out of the dryer and you fold the towels, and then you put them in the shelves, and they're looking so good and they're feeling so good and they smell good and those towels are so soft. Aren't they wonderful when they come out of the dryer? They're hot. Yeah, it's great. They're warm. They feel good. And so you put them on the shelf. And then you take out your underwear and you fold it all up. And you put it in the dresser drawers. Oh, it looks so neat in there. It looks so good. You see what I'm saying? And then you make a game out of it. This is my reality.
Okay.
It's interesting. And this is something I learned. I probably shouldn't tell you this. But she probably already knows. Sometimes when you do the laundry and then your wife says, oh, and then they refold everything. And why did you mix the whites with and why did you, what's going on here? So they take it out of your hands. And you're thinking to yourself, yeah. I'm just kidding. This is all in kid right here. Kind of. So, I remember when we first came to Unity of Greenville, and I was talking to the board about, they said, well, what is it that you would like to see? And I said, I would like for us to have fun. Is that okay? Can we have fun? Can we make this fun? Can we enjoy this? Even the hard things, can we just enjoy it and use our creativity, right? If we go through a tough time, we just use our creativity, we use our prayers, we use our belief and our faith, and we make things happen. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes, because it takes the same amount of energy to imagine something positive and wonderful as it does to imagine something not so good and undesirable.
Unless you're a sadist, it's impossible to keep doing what you hate and be happy. Right? It's impossible to do things you don't want to do and still be happy. Because you're always in resistance. You're putting out a lot of... That's why you feel so exhausted when you do something that you don't really want to do. But have you noticed that when you're doing something you really love and you really enjoy, oh my goodness, you could do it for hours, over and over again. You lose track of time, you know? So hate, when we say we hate things, we're resisting it. Your brain is resisting it. Let's say it. It's not because I'm lazy. It's because I don't like it. Right? And so you have to work with that. You have to use your mind power. Use your mind power. See, the number one problem in America is that too many people do not love or at least enjoy what they do. And you got all these unhappy people driving around in their 6,000-pound SUV, weapons, right? And they get in their car and and then their vehicle becomes a representation of what's going on the inside of them. And out there driving around, get out of the way. And do you ever do that? You don't have to raise your hand. I mean, no, that's doing what we don't like to do doesn't make us safer. So we've got to learn how to make peace with things. And you know what? There's a lot of people out there that don't agree with you. So what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? All those people, they don't believe like I do. They don't think like I do. They're wrong, of course. And I'm mad about it. All right?
Get over it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Here's what number 21 in the Gospel of Thomas. It's this. There's a bunch of sayings in the Gospel of Thomas, and they're just numbered. And this is number 21. Right? Arm yourselves with great strength, lest the robbers find a way to come to you, for the difficulty you expect will surely materialize. Oh, this is going to be hard. Oh, this is going to be tough. Right? Oh, this is going to be hard, man. I just don't know. I don't know. Well, guess what? We need to toughen up, don't we? We need to get tough. We need to get tough in our minds. Because we want to be resilient, don't we? We want to be resilient so that we can deal. Hey, don't go away mad. Oh, I'm just kidding. No, they told me they were leaving early, so I just like to do that. I love you guys. Great strength. You have, inside you, this inner strength. And you cultivate it and you develop it over time, right? You become more, not hard. I'm not talking about being hardened. I'm talking about being tough. Sometimes love is tough. You ever heard of tough love? How many know we need some tough love?
It's having an inner fortitude or strength, which
Yes.
is our power for the month of March.
Oh, isn't that a coincidence?
Yeah, having that inner fortitude to just stay the course, not be pulled off.
Yeah.
Your inner strength, your inner tenacity.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Mental toughness
Or mental strength.
is often portrayed as determination and persistence, but it can also be flexibility and adaptability. Say it with me, I'm flexible. We call this the unity community of flexibility. Right? We're flexible. things don't always have to be the way that we think that they should be. Because if it's not the way that I think it should be, you know what? We just work with it. We massage it a little bit. You know, it's like when you make a meal and there's something missing in this chili, you know? Just something missing. What is it? Well, you get out your herbs and your spices and you do a little work on it, you know, until it starts tasting good, right? It's learning how to deal with the hand that you have been dealt in your life, because every person in this room has a particular set of curriculum that you have come here to embody and to work with and to deal with and to learn from. Right?
Yes.
Does that make sense? So your situation is unique to you. It's unique to you. But I'll tell you this, you are more than capable of dealing with whatever happens in your life. It's like, you know, being a minister, I didn't know the things I was going to be getting into. I had no idea. Here I was, a 25-year-old minister, was invited over. One of the ladies called me. She said, my husband, he's having, she called DTs. That's what she called it. He was having these mental visions and things because he's an alcoholic. So I went over to their house. And this fellow who would come with her every once in a while, so nice, just a good person, you know, lovely person, was not being that way in that moment. He was threatening violence, and he was seeing images and things. And the smell was just horrific, you know. He'd been sick, and he was just saying things that I had never heard before. Right? They don't teach you this in preacher school, let me just say. And I remember sitting there with him for a few hours, so early in the morning. And then he started to calm down. And he started to come back to himself. And he began to apologize. And he went and he took a shower. And then he went to rehab, right? Sometimes in life you just step up and do those things. Yes, they're hard. You know, it's like, it's not going to smell the greatest sometimes. It's like having babies. They're so cute, but they're smelly, right? And that's life, you know? That's life. That's just the way it is. So I need to do what? I need to be present and learn to be with what is in the moment. Are you with me? So let's say together, I can be happy anywhere. I can work with what I have. I can have a good day with anybody. Yeah. See, you are tough when your mood is not dependent on your conditions. All right, got one last thing I want to read from the Tao. Okay. Nature does not hurry. Think about that. Nature does not hurry. Yet everything is accomplished. When you are content to be simply yourself and don't compare or compete, everybody will respect you. And if you overcome others, well, You're just proving that, yeah, you're powerful. I mean, no, that's easy when you have authority over other people's. Other people, then you start thinking you're really something, you know. But it says if you overcome yourself, in other words, if you learn how to manage your emotions, your thoughts, what comes out of your mouth, what you take in through your eye gate and your ear gate, then you become a master of your mind. And if you've mastered your mind, let's take a breath. Then you're truly a master of life. You hear what I'm saying? Wow. That's in the Tao. Breathe free for just a moment. Just breathe free. Right now, you're totally free. There's nothing you have to do, nowhere you have to go. You're here right now. Let's take this opportunity to enjoy the moment. As Leah plays the beautiful notes on the keyboard. Just follow the music. Follow it down further and further into yourself, into your heart. And just keep breathing. Just notice your breath, the sacredness of your breath. It's always with you. It's always with you. Your breath. I want to invite you this week to consider challenging yourself a little bit. And some of those things in your life that you've been meaning to do, I know some of you, there's a book inside you. But you've been putting it off because it's too hard. Or maybe you've been wanting to meet someone, but you don't do it because it's easier to just isolate and be alone. Whatever challenges, whatever it is that you've been putting off doing because out of fear, out of that feeling of lack and scarcity, I want to invite you to take that step. Find a way to make it fun. Dance with the laundry. Sing. Whatever you need to do to find ways to step into that version of yourself that you really know that you're meant to be. But it's easier not to, isn't it? I want to invite you just to take a step this week. Do something. out of your comfort zone. Make it okay. Make it fun. You can do that. You have that power. Start to visualize yourself doing things that maybe you haven't ever done before. What do you see yourself doing? Because if you can see it, you can be it. Yeah. And so now maybe you know of someone that you would like to hold in prayer this morning during this healing time. I invite you to bring the awareness of this person or these people into the room. You might even want to whisper their name aloud. And just send them your love. Maybe there's somebody that you've been holding as a prisoner in your mind. You've been thinking about a lot. Now you realize, become obsessed. It's time to forgive. It's time to release. And let it go. Let that person go. I'm just hurting myself. I'm taking poison and expecting the other person to die. It doesn't work. So I forgive. I release. I just want to be at peace. I want peace more than anything else. So we affirm together the highest and best for all our friends, our neighbors, our family, our community here. For all the towns and villages and cities around us. All those people. They're just like you and me. They get up every day. They just want to be happy. Let us hold the highest and best for our nation. For our world. We invite that unconditional loving presence that we call God to move through us, to work through us in divine ways, in new ways, coming from a new perspective, a new vantage point. And we bless them all. We bless them all. In our community, over the years, we've met many people who are members, and some of them we've been able to see little babies be born, couples come together and get married, and we've also lost a few along the way. And so I'm going to mention some names of some folks. You may or may not know who they are. Nancy Schlesiel passed away last night. Beautiful soul. A light. Our good friend Jim, who moved to California, was a member here. Jim Rosiak passed away last week. Just a few weeks ago, we lost Gwen Thornburg. And so we send them on their way in peace and in love and in light. Fly free. And go in peace. And we know that you're always with us. And we're grateful for your life that you lived, what you shared, the relationships that we had with you along the way. Thank you. Thank you. Let's take a breath together. So I want to invite you into the silence for just a moment. So now we affirm healing, health, blessings, and peace for all. In the name of the Christ and all that is sacred, holy, and good. Amen. All right, let's take a moment to stretch.